Anybody who's lost their grandmama or grandpapa is going to heal, guaranteed. Impossible. You cannot know that.
It's showtime.
Knowledge comes at a price, at a cost.
Mom.
If we push too hard, something will push back. What happens next is my favorite part.
Let me start by saying shout out to all the actors who are still acting in this, who are still getting paid, because put food on the table, rent, light, bills, whatever. But aside from that, like I mentioned earlier on, our time and attention are the most valuable currency that we have.
That's right.
I don't know how this series is going to end. It's been the same characters, roughly the same with some new additions, but it's just the same trope, shall I say, not characters. It's the same repetition.
What happens next is my favorite part.
How much suffering, how much terror, how much carnage can you inflict on the people that they don't all do something to their Kool-Aid and gather around together and drink it? Or unless the environment mutates their insides to negate what's inside the Kool-Aid. Like how long can you perpetuate this whole torture village, city, town?
That's a good question.
How long can this go on for? Show me the problem, show me the vampire, show me the werewolf, show me the being and the entity troubling a town and a nation and the people. Cool. How are you going to solve it? And I just think that's just the way my brain is wired. You can drag a thing for 2-3 seasons. Eventually, just like Lost, I thankfully did not fall for that show hook, line, and sinker. I watched a number of seasons. After a while, I got bored. I just detached myself from it because I just realized, like, you guys are just repeating the pattern. Shock horror, new mystery. You open one episode with this new mystery, you forget the old mystery. We're following a new mystery like little dogs. We're thinking, how about the old one? Another new mystery. It is on repeat. And I personally got tired of that. And I respect people and I give kudos to people who can still maintain watching this show without any thought of how long can they keep this up. That's where my head is at. It just seems to loop on really nasty, disgusting things. And its intention is to feed off the people. So then I think, who has the most power here? The entities or the human beings?
That's a good question.
Because in some cases, they thought to themselves, you know what? We're resilient. We need to survive. We need to exist and find happiness in this sad, destructive, volatile, wicked environment that they're in. Cool. It's a human trope or trait. Cool. Maybe it's to our detriment or to our I don't know. It's either for the better or for the worse. But after a while, I do have to start thinking, when does it become a thing where we now fully collectively say, yo, we're not going to leave here, so we might as well just do something where we sit together as a collective, talk on happy memories, and drink on that cup.
Willingly?
Yes.
Because if there's 50 of us or 30 of us in this space, I don't want to be the guy who was too afraid to partake in this release from this hellhole.
Damn!
I really loved this show in season 1. Really, absolutely loved this show in season 1. But season 2 did some weird things. I was like, dude, season 1 was already weird. But even at least season 1, I was thinking, okay, we're watching. I was assuming this show was letting us know how some people managed to survive here for a year or two, and it took one or two people to come to help them work together to find a way to get away from here. Then they added more lore and more story to say, oh, there were people here longer than the current people who have died. I'm like, okay, so within the timeline of this island, of this village or town, or this hell paradise or Silent Hill-ish location, how many people chose to be the ones to end other people's lives peacefully and then find a way to end their lives? How many people chose to end their lives and ignore the other people? How many people heard someone say, oh, we can find hope and work together and live together and, we'll make the best of it? I wonder if there's something, if the show is trying to tell us something about the current human psychology or paradigm where a group of people will be put in a location where they know it is not divine, righteous, or conducive to their spiritual growth or elevation, but yet they will still perpetuate this whole hope. We'll have better days, we'll have better days, because this environment wasn't built by them. To my knowledge anyway, to my current knowledge. I don't know if season 3 exposes something that some human beings did some weird or intentional magic and caused, or intentional disorderly magic, and then caused this town to manifest. It's also fascinating to see multiple people online having different theories about the man in yellow, the boy in white, the girl in green, the twins in Air Jordans, and the twins playing basket. Whatever theory, there's just a bunch of different people come up with so much theories. It just feels like this show is a parasite feeding off people's engagement. And I didn't like that feeling. I was like, dude, you guys aren't going to resolve this, are you? You're just going to keep pushing. You want to see how far you can. It's almost like the show is a reflection of the mindset of the showrunners. Like, let's see how far we can push this, for how long we can keep this going for. And I clocked this in season 2. I don't need to wait to season 4 to figure shit out. People who are blind can see in this town. People who are deaf in the normal reality can hear in this town. So you can flip it and say, oh, well, if someone's blind there, but they can see here, and someone who can have babies here. There's got to be a plus to it. There's no, that's what I'm saying. Maybe it's the psychology of the current human mind, where we've been programmed to look for the good in bad. And I don't know if that's an innate, natural, divine ability, or it's just because things have occurred so many years, and because it's occurred in our psyche, a group of people have found a way to play on that through this show. Because I know for sure, even if people weren't talking about sipping some magic elixir, I'll be the one looking for a particular mushroom or whatever it is, just because even that whole I need to get out of here so I can get back to my family, to my friends, to my life. And I mean, you could even have stories where someone is abusive and they ended up here, and then they have to learn how to work with other people. Someone was very selfish and they ended up here and learn how to bond with people. Someone was very introverted and ended up here. You can perpetuate whatever you want to perpetuate, but as long as this place is not divine or righteous or loving or kind, I don't know how long you can keep this premise going on for before the viewers say you guys are trying to pull another Lost. And I know some of the, I don't know if there are 4 or 6 showrunners, but I know that 1 or 2 people from Lost are also part of the show. So when I heard that, I was like, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, because the way they're dragging this thing, nah, I'm not the target audience as well, so it's all gravy.
You ain't lying.
To sit here and just be watching this for 4 seasons, 5 seasons without any inkling of where we're taking it to this particular point in the story where you will all be satisfied. Some people are not. It's like the things that used to occur was at night. Now, when you bring in the horror that used to occur at nighttime into daytime, now it's like, okay, so what are we doing? I thought you could only get at them at nighttime. Now you want to do them at daytime, and so what now? It's like, what? How far can you push it? And it looks like this town has unlimited ways of causing terror. There's spiders, there's things moving in people's bodies. There's something, the thing whispering in people's ears, go and kill him and go and do that. It's like, dude, how much more can you take? I think that's the question I'll be asking myself. Not only about the show, but if I was here, I honestly don't feel I would last long. Because even though I would have this thing in the back of my mind, as if to say it's like my inner mind would be like, oh, don't let this town win. That's what the town wants from you. Unless you maybe there's something that's a part of the lore that says if you self-terminate here, your soul will never reach the divine. How that even makes sense, I don't know. Even if you're not Christian or Muslim, or you don't, if you're an atheist and you self-terminate in this town where from is taking place, the soul will not transcend to the divine. That doesn't even make any sense, because you're now trying to say that this realm supersedes the rule of law, that once a soul is done, whether it's self-termination or it's the the release of the soul from the body, old age, an accident, or a sickness or disease or illness or ailment, you're trying to say that law that governs all the different ways of the soul or the energy that this body inhabits, the natural laws say whichever way this soul leaves this body, it's going back to the maker. Now you're saying there's a stopping barrier. Oh, let's assume that this town is operating as a barrier that collects those souls. That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. That is very, 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 very confusing. That sounds like a lot of bullshit. Like I said, I really deeply loved season 1. Absolutely loved it. I was like, yo, this show is awesome.
That's right.
I was asking questions. Where did the talismans come from? Why did they end up here? Why don't people who stop at the tree that get you to this, why don't they turn around? Or can you lift up the tree? Has anyone ever come to lift up the tree? Has anyone ever called someone, yo, there's a tree stuck here, come lift it up? You know, these are kind of questions you want to ask about the show. And then, okay, who put the tree there? Or is the tree like a split line between one parallel earth and the other parallel multiverse? So there's so many questions to ask. But once you see the horrific things that occur on the island, in the town, then food grows and they eat the food. So I'm even thinking to myself, okay, so you can eat to an extent. There's water, there's electricity without any generator. You're not paying rent, you're not paying for bills, or you're not paying bills and whatnot. You still have your identity and all that stuff, but it just feels like an evil farm.
What?
Yes, an evil farm where nefarious entities and spirits and disorderly creatures get to come and feed off the livestock.
Message.
That's why there's food for the human beings to eat, there's water for the human beings to drink. And then the strongest meal or herb they can feed off of, or that can energize them, is hope. Hope to get out of here and meet their family. Like I said, to the abusive ones who were not nice and kind to their lovers and friends, oh, I can't wait to leave here so I can be a better person when I get back to my family. And others might say, oh, this show is probably an allegory, or this land is like what's that word? Oh my gosh, there's a word that it came to my head and left. Oh, dude. Like a stage or a ground for people to learn how to repent. Maybe it's a middle path in between, your journey from here to the maker. So before Judgment Day comes, those particular a select group of people will end up here to test their faith, and then is it fate or faith? Test their faith, and then teach them how to become better people. So it needs, even me, what I'm doing right now is part of what the show wants me to do, or wants people to do. On top of that, it's what the land or the town or from wants the human beings to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like the show wants people talking about it the same way the town wants people to keep hoping and having different ideas to an extent. But how many people have successfully escaped this place? And I mean, if you escape it and you go away, surely you find a way to warn people not to come here. Surprised no one dropped a nuclear bomb on this place.
Damn.
Anyone who's escaped, gone to the army, but nah, they'll probably put the person in the psych ward. Because how do you convince people that this place exists once you escape it? But I imagine after all that trauma you've experienced, you won't want to come back to even save other people. So then you could just throw in so many theories. That's why I said earlier on, there are multiple channels that I've seen that have just thrown countless theories at the audience, and even the audience are engaging. Yeah, it could be this. I think it's this. I don't like doing that, because I'm not in the head of the writer or writers and showrunners. But I can sense, I could be wrong, but from what I'm getting from the show, I can sense the writers are eating off this. It's almost like the writers are the parasites on the island or in the town, feeding off the energy of the human beings. The more we speculate, the more we hypothesize, the more we theorize, the more they're feeding off this shit.
What does that have to do with it?
No, he's got a point.
To each their own. The other people will love this show. They deeply like. Is it Eman? Eman reacts or Emmanuel?
A few moments later.
He's one of the people I started watching when it comes to this show. Him and Think Story. I used to watch them a lot for reviews and breakdowns and trailer reactions and whatnot. But after a while, I was like, dude, this show has to have an endpoint. Otherwise, it's a hamster wheel. And for people like myself, that's boring. We don't like that. We do not do hamster wheels at all. Some people don't mind hamster wheels. That's an exercise for the brain and the body. And hey, again, to each their own. Anyway, that's me done. Let me know in the comments which one of you is a fan of From. You're looking forward to the season. Have you ever thought to yourself, when are they going to end the show? Or do you want the show to end?
That's a good question.
Like Lost was going on for a number of seasons. I don't even know how long. But I'm so glad I dipped out of Lost ASAP. I miss Heroes though. I miss Heroes, but I'm so glad I dipped out of Lost because that show, goodness gracious, that was a very, 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 very annoying ride that the show took. After a while, I said, nah, you're not gonna get me with this shit. I see you stringing me along nicely. No, sir, you, Bob, and I'm not the turkey gonna cut off my head. No, you can do that to somebody else, but not me. Yeah. And I feel that's where I developed my taste in shows that taking a good ride, good journey, and answer the questions that they've raised themselves, or solve the mysteries that they've created for the audience to try and figure out a puzzle.
What do you mean by that?
Like, for example, Dark Matter, his Dark Materials is very good as well. What's the other one? Severance, season 1 and 2. I didn't want to jump on that one because it felt like one of those shows where they weren't going to give answers just yet. But the show didn't feel like that for me. Because the premise alone of having to put something in your skull, just thinking of that alone, I was like, that's fascinating to me. The fact that someone would choose that. And not out of trauma, not out of money, but someone would say, you know what, whether you pay me or not, I want to see, I want to have this experience. And then what Lumen is really about, all that stuff is beautiful. It looks like, I don't want to say it feels like, it looks like Ben Stiller and co will at least have satisfactory answers for the audience when the show finally ends. Dark Matter was like that as well. 1 or 2 questions were left hanging, but at least the overall experience was beautiful.
That's right.
So I can let go of 1 or 2 things and say, you know what, they didn't pay off those 2 questions, but at least everything else, they stuck to their guns, they answered certain questions that they asked, and I'm happy with how it turned out. If they announce or when they announce season 2, I'll be ready for it. Although I know the writer or the originator of the story said he wanted to work on other shows, or other shows based off his books as well. And if they're as good as Dark Matter or better, I am on that train ASAP. That dude is awesome. Because Dark Matter hit me very, 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 very well. Hit me very well. I was like, yo, yeah, this is my type of story, my type of concept, my type of ideas, my type of reality where you ponder these things and then you're experiencing them. What does that, what impact or effect does that have on a person? How do you change from it? Or again, do you just give up and say, whatever, I'm just going to live this life? Or do you say, I want to find my way back home? Like against all odds? Nah, such a beautiful show. Such a beautiful show. And now there's another show I'm looking forward to as well. Paradise, season 1 was epic with Sterling K. Brown. Is that his name? Have I forgotten his name already? I swear it's Sterling K. Brown. I could be wrong. I apologize. Let me know in the comments. So season 2 of Paradise is coming out this month. I think the 3rd week or 4th week, and I'm so stoked for it.
Woo!
At the same time, I'm hopeful they don't mess it up because season 1 was epic. It's so epic, I watched it twice.
You serious?
I'm yet to watch it again the 3rd time, you know, in conjunction with the release, so I can do a watch reaction on my Patreon account as well. Dude, that show was done well. Pacing, excellent. Dialogue, excellent. This is a show that I love to. When people always talk about, oh, dialogue is unimportant, I don't know what that even means when people say it. Your characters who are speaking have to speak in an intelligent manner, otherwise you're going to lose the audience. So the dialogue in Paradise, top notch.
Woo!
Top notch dialogue. Beautiful.
You ain't lying.
Beautiful. And the characters, oh my gosh. Characters did a great job. Everyone got to shine. The showrunner did a great way of taking you on this journey and learn to sympathize with different people and see things from different perspectives. One could argue like, well, that's a no-brainer. That's what you're supposed to do as a human being. Yeah, but it's the way that they did it. So you sit down and go, you know what? I thought that person was like this, but now I see what they went through and I realize why they chose to do things like this. I'm not saying you're going to let a douchebag get away with certain things. No. Like the character, the lady whose nickname was called Sinatra. Man, I'm looking forward to see what they do with her in season 2. Some people need to get the comeuppance. And again, with the show's premise, I hope they are conscious of what they have done to certain people's psyche.
Let me explain.
When you introduce certain aspects or elements in your show, whatever concept you've come up with for your show, be it Outer Limits, Twilight Zone, Severance, Dark Matter, eventually it still boils down to simple storytelling or powerful, simple storytelling. What do you want your audience to leave with in their personage once they're done with your show? Do you want them to be pissed off and confused and aggravated like the audience were with season 5 of Stranger Things? Or do you want them to feel do you want them to cry for the sake of crying? Or do you want to, you can indirectly activate a healing process in so many people, not necessarily intentionally, but indirectly. You can carry people on a journey that they will never have to experience physically in their existence, in their reality, but you can take them on that journey you can take them through that journey or on that journey through these characters in your show. It's almost like having to be in I almost want to say holographic roller coaster ride without having to be there. For some people who are really afraid of heights, for example, but they get to experience the ride close enough, and maybe that can help them overcome their fear. Then they physically go out into the world and say, let me try this ride for real. So your stories can heal. So your stories can bring up something that people have suppressed and repressed for so long, unknowingly, subconsciously, and the show just brings that thing to the surface, and then that for the better that person seeks out therapy or counseling, or not even having to seek out per se, but just going through your whole season, they feel lighter. They feel different. They feel better.
I like this one.
They feel like they've gained something they couldn't have gained in their life, or maybe this show was meant for them to watch it, to gain that thing that their inner child wanted or was seeking for so long.
Let me explain.
And then here comes this show, and it's assisting them to go through this healing process that they didn't even know would ever happen, or didn't even know that they needed. So sometimes a show can do that. The Flash, for example, The Flash on CW, season 2 came out. That helped me a lot with the passing of my grandmother, and she was the last of my grandparents to pass away. That show, a comic book character live action TV show, helped me to heal and to deal with the process of my grandmother's passing. How is it possible that the two relate?
That's a good question.
How do they connect? My grandma never, ever watched the Flash show. So how have the two come to meet? How has the cosmos done what it's done to find the particular showrunners, writers, the actors and actresses, and then put everything together? And in the same cosmic stream of my grandmother passing, the season comes out in synchronicity, meets, and then I've watched particular episodes in that second season, and it's led me to release. How is that possible?
That boy is good.
Because there's no way the showrunners sat down and said, okay, we're going to put the show together, and someone, down the line is going to lose their grandmother, their last grandparent to pass away, and this show is going to meet the timeline perfectly to help them. Impossible to know that. You might have some weird psychics around you. Let me rephrase, I can't believe I use that word. You might have some very powerful psychics around you who just tell the person this show is going to help a lot of people heal, and that's it. You don't know specifically who. So maybe you have one or two psychics who told the showrunners that you don't give up on this show if you want to give up on the show, because it's going to help people heal, outside of many, many other things. But how my mind latched onto a particular scene or multiple scenes and dialogue and the story and the weight of the story and everything else just packaged. What business does a show have to say once this episode of The Flash or these episodes of The Flash season 2 comes out? Anybody who's lost their grandmama or grandpapa is going to heal, guaranteed. Impossible. You cannot know that. And yet the show did that for me. So power of storytelling is something else, man. That's why I stay away from certain shows that I feel, you're just yanking on my chain, and it's cool. If that's the kind of show that you are, like Lost, I leave you alone. I'm not the target audience. Just like I finished watching Wonder Man recently. Everyone's like, oh no, the show is awesome. You don't know what you're talking about. To each their own. I did not like it because I'm not the target audience. I'm definitely going to do another video about the Wonder Man show for sure.
Nice.
I'm hearing chatter like, oh, one of the best grounded superhero shows. I'm like, dude, I don't know if you're trying to be specific because Daredevil and The Punisher were out on Netflix. So you can't say those two were the best because they were on Netflix. So you mean a Marvel show, or are you saying best superhero grounded show ever, whether or not shows, you know, were on Netflix or not? And I just mentioned the CW. That was grounded. Had some science stuff, had some sci-fi stuff, had some parallel Earth stuff, but still grounded. Unless grounded is relative to different people now, I don't know. But there's no way I will compare Wonder Man to Daredevil and The Punisher and then say The Wonder Man is a great show when The Punisher and Daredevil exist. In fact, Daredevil came out before The Punisher, and that show is epic. That is one of the most grounded superhero shows. And they grounded his character. That even the whole your neighborhood Spider-Man, for me, is not. It can't relate. It's not the same. I don't think you can ground Tom Holland as well as they did Matthew Cox for Daredevil and The Punisher.
Damn.
In the everyday life of a superhero, will his friends find out? And if they do, what would they feel? What do they think? No. Sorry. It feels insulting and rude. That show that you can do superheroes or superpowered characters or characters with skills and abilities very, very well whilst still grounding it. Now, granted, you do season 1 epic, you might fumble on season 2 or the first half of season 2 or second half of season 2. But as long as you let me say this, let me woosah first. Some people don't mind seeing Peter Parker going to the groceries to buy food because it makes him feel like, oh, he's human like me. He gets to buy food and he left he forgot to take the change, or he paid too much, or he tips people when he goes to the restaurant. If you give me 20 episodes of a Spider-Man TV show and he does regular regular everyday stuff from episode 1 to 18, and then you introduce a villain at episode 19, and then he doesn't fight that villain to episode 20, and then you say it's an epic Spider-Man show,
You must be out of your goddamn mind. That's right.
balance is very, very important. And they pull that off very, very well with Daredevil and Frank Castle's character, Punisher. They allowed both to have their human experience, doubting themselves about being the superhero, being this vigilante, being this person, yada, yada, yada. But the world that they put him in allowed us to say, yo, it makes sense that you're doing what you're doing, because if we were in your shoes and in the world you're in, I wouldn't even think twice about giving up. I would just keep going at it. Because as long as Kingpin exists and all these other nefarious and wicked people exist, then I guess we exist as well. But even in between that, do I want to fight today? I'm bruised up, I'm tired, I'm trying to hide my identity and this and that. I don't want the public to see me. So much is going on. So it puts you in the driver's seat. What would you do in this situation? How would you handle it? Judgment free, by the way. Judgment free. And then people are saying, oh, superpowered being and it's so grounded and the best. The best?
What?
The best.
Come on.
The best.
You don't understand.
I don't know how to say that when Daredevil, Luke Cage, The Punisher, and Jessica Jones exist. I don't know how to say that when those shows already exist. I don't care whether they were on Netflix, eFlix, iFlix, 2Flix, 3Flix, 10Flix, no Flix. The story and the show exist. To say the best, nah, and that's saying something. When I did my review, I also mentioned the flops that Marvel has released. So to say the best, that lets me know, okay, you guys didn't really agree with the other shows that came out on Marvel Disney Plus either.
You ain't lying.
The best. This is why I don't like this English language. It's so confusing that people can just use words willy-nilly.
Does not compute.
Daredevil and The Punisher alone. In fact, let's put Punisher to the back burner for a second. Daredevil alone. Even season 3 that dropped recently. Is it season 3? Oh, no, season 4, right? Because when they did it on Disney Plus, the Daredevil Born Again, when he's dating the therapist. Even I was like, yo, you guys, I'm done with this, Daredevil dating thing. Keep this guy single or take his punk ass back to Karen or Elektra or Rosario Dawson's character, because I personally don't feel that makes sense in the psyche of a person who's Daredevil to still want to date. And yes, the premise was, I'm going to stop this superhero thing, this vigilante thing, this mask wearing thing. Yeah, sure thing, buddy. Either you come to terms with it like Neo, this is who I am, and the life that I live, maybe I'll never be able to have a happy ending or happy wife and whatnot. Because you can't want to be with someone and then they say, I would love to start a family with you. What you going to say to that?
That's a good question.
I don't know if Daredevil has children in the comics. So maybe that's where the showrunners might be going to. But eventually there's a point where it's like, you either stick with it and do it well, and you meet someone who appreciates him for what he is, or you say, yo, single, Karen, Elektra, or Rosario Dawson's character. Because I personally, if I was in his shoes, no way. I either find my life partner, soulmate, or it's staying single, so I can at least train up more. I can't keep up with this charades. My girlfriend touches me and I wince. Oh, why do you have a bruise here? Come on, how many times can I keep explaining to her that it's at the gym? She'll be like, what kind of gym are you going to? What kind of sparring matches do you go to where you can't even stand up straight for a while? They said Wonder Man is the best grounded superhero show.
What?
You're just pissed all over Daredevil and Punisher.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live! Fuck it!
Anyways, peeps, I've of course been your one and only Multipotentialite, Neurodivergent host,
the Kosmic Jedi, signing out. Thank you for watching.